Good afternoon, everyone. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Before I continue, I'd just like to introduce some of the people at the front here. First, our panel. On my far left is Natalia Popovic. On my near left is Laura Alderson. On my near right is Bill Dalton. On my far right is Rick Ross. And we also have on the left end of this desk our Deputy Secretary Treasurer Barbara Bartosik. And in the front here we have our support staff. And I'm Donald Taylor. I'm the chair this afternoon. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card. And those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of this hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clarify your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. I would ask if there are any declarations of interest of panel or staff for items in the time slot. Panel first.
Yes, I have a conflict with item 17.
And the nature of that conflict?
I am a full-time employee of Arcadis, and someone else from Arcadis is representing them.
Thank you. And staff, any declarations of interest from staff? No. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
None today, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files to close this afternoon?
None today.
Thank you. Okay, then let us proceed with the next item on the agenda, which is item number 17, 1149 to 1151 Martin Grove Road, 1153 Martin Grove Road, and 90 Belfield Road. Just give me a moment to introduce the matter. This is a consent application, and the purpose is to divide the property into 3 separate entities, one having an area of 19,458.8 meters squared, another having an area of 91,700.4 meters squared, and a third part with an area of 36.6 meters squared, which will be dedicated to the City of Toronto for a road widening. We have Harry Zhu.
Yes, here.
As agent. Thank you, Harry. On this application, we have conditions of approval requested by Engineering and Construction Services and Transportation Services. Are you familiar with and okay with them?
Yes, we have reviewed the condition provided by the ECS and also the transportation services. Yeah, we are well aware of the conditions and have no objection to it.
Okay. And there's a requested condition from community planning. Are you familiar with that and okay with that?
Yes, we are.
And there's a Metrolinx advisory.
Yes, we are aware that the Metrolinx provides an advisory comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest to my colleagues that this is a pretty straightforward matter. Does anyone require a presentation, or shall we proceed if it's okay with the agent? Mr. Zhu, are you okay if we, instead of a presentation, we just ask you any questions if we have any? Again,
yes, please.
It's pretty straightforward, pretty
yes.
clear. Okay, can we do that then?
Yes, please.
Okay, so panel, any questions for Mr. Zhu before we proceed? Rick, are you okay? No questions? Okay, then let's go right into committee then for just, I beg your pardon? Okay, thank you. So let's go into committee for a decision on this consent application. And again, conditions from Engineering and Construction Services, Transportation Services, and community planning?
Planning just had an information report.
Oh, yeah, they're okay. I'm sorry, there is no condition. That was for information only? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for information.
So
there's no
just
comment, yeah.
ECS, Transportation Services. So may I have a motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Ms.
On the
Popovic.
basis of the materials presented and the fact that planning staff have no concerns, subject to the conditions by ECS and the Metrolinx advisory, I move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for Ms. Popovic. Thank you, Mr. Ross. All in favor?
And the ECS, Metrolinx is just advisory. You're not adding that as conditions, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we don't need to mention, do we, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, the standard conditions of consent? That'll happen routinely?
We should, but we always add them in anyways.
Okay. Well, why don't we make a friendly amendment to include the standard conditions of consent and take another vote?
Including transportation.
Oh, yeah, that was already stated. The only thing that wasn't was the standard conditions of consent. She didn't say transportation.
Did I not?
Okay.
They are just the ECF.
Oh, it's the same.
Yes.
It's all in the same memo. So we're still all in favor? Carried.
Okay.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you very
Mr.
much.
Zhu. Yes. Just give Mr. Dalton a moment to reappear. Yeah. Maybe I'll just introduce this item. There's Mr. Dalton there. Item 18, 121 27th Street. This is an application for consent, firstly, to obtain consent to sever the lot into two undersized residential lots and to create reciprocal easements, right-of-ways for the purpose of vehicular and pedestrian access. And there are also two applications for minor variance, one application for each of the proposed lots. We have on file urban forestry conditions 1, 2, and 3, engineering and construction services and transportation services conditions, 4 conditions from heritage planning. We have opposition from the local councillor. We have 8 letters of opposition, 2 support letters. We have a recommendation to refuse from community planning. In additional items received recently, we have an applicant presentation, actually 2 of them, and a support letter. And I think that's about what covers it. And before we get into the merits, you're Mr. Kohalik?
That's correct.
We have an issue here with respect to the notices for the minor variances, which we believe may result in an automatic deferral. Because your purpose, as stated in your 2 variance applications, is to construct a new detached dwelling. And in fact, what is being proposed are 2 fourplexes.
That's correct.
So I think our feeling is that this notice is misleading, needs to be corrected.
Okay.
To tell people up front exactly what you're proposing.
To
Because
be
on a first
clear,
blush, if I,
Just to let the applicant and the public know, that's an error on our part. Your application did state it was 2 fourplexes. Your plans show that information. It's just our notice, the way it was drafted, didn't indicate that information. So I do apologize. It's us, not you.
Okay, that's good. I don't want to be
Good.
accused
okay,
of
so our
being
apologies,
misleading.
not your fault.
Yeah.
However, the issue remains inadvertently says detached dwelling, and in fact, it's more than that, so.
No, that's reasonable then, if that's
Okay,
your
thank
criterion.
you.
Yeah.
Now, we have 3 registered speakers, so we'll have to communicate the potential to defer this with them. And I don't believe, is there anyone else in the room that came to speak about 121 27th Street? No, you're here for other things, all right. So then we'll just call them in order, I guess. Stephen Vela, or Vela?
Hi.
Hello? Yeah, Stephen,
how are
if you've been listening in, you've heard that the notice with respect to the variances is inaccurate, and we're moving toward deferring this application to correct the purpose, to read what it really is, which is 2 fourplexes. Are you okay with the deferral at this time?
Yes, I am. Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. Andy Scholes? Mr. Scholes?
Here, that wording jumped out at me as well. I'm no problem with deferring the application for now. I'll be back to talk on it next time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Christine Mercado, Long Branch Neighborhood Association.
Yes, the deferral is fine.
You're okay, thank
Hello,
you. Okay, so I think we have full concurrence in a deferral here. And again, our apologies for the incorrect wording on the purpose. So we need a motion to defer.
Given the notice issue, I move a motion to defer.
There's a seconder for the motion to defer.
I'll second it.
Ms. Popovic, thank you very much. All in favor? That is unanimous. And again, our apologies, and we'll see you hopefully soon.
Thank you.
If you want to reach out to Paul tomorrow, he'll confirm the next date and the signs that have to be posted, okay?
Okay, next item, number 19. 79 Ashburn Drive. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling. There are 5 variances. We have Urban Forestry requesting refusal, or in the alternative, their condition 2 with respect to a private tree. And I would just note before we commence that this item was deferred on April the 11th this year to enable the provision of a new notice to reflect changes that were made, I believe, during the hearing on this application at that time. Is there anyone in the room that came to speak about 79 Ashburn Drive? No? And I don't believe, Adam, that there's anyone online to speak to this either?
Just the agent, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Marin Zabzuni, agent. Are you available, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. This is Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
Hi. Yeah, could we just, I'm just going to ask my panelists' views on this. This appears to be pretty straightforward. Is there any need for a presentation from anybody's perspective? Okay. So, Mr. Zabzuni, if you're okay, we'll just proceed with this on the basis of any questions that we may have of you in lieu of a presentation from you. Is that satisfactory to you?
Certainly.
Okay, good. Then, panel, questions or comments for Mr. Zabzuni?
Mr. Chair, I would like Mr. Agent to confirm that Urban Forestry has recommended a denial or subject to 2 conditions by memo dated July 25th, 2024. Are you and or your clients content with those conditions?
Yes, we have no problem with the conditions. I believe they want us to revise the pool location, where it's located. It's affecting a private tree. So we're happy to work with them and our arborist to meet their requirements so that they can eventually provide us some kind of clearance during the building permit process.
Thank you.
No more questions? Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
I will move, Mr. Chair, to, subject to the conditions imposed currently by Urban Forestry, move to, I don't see any other conditions in the materials. Just forestry, move to approve this on the basis that it meets the 4 tests as required.
Is there a seconder for Ms. Popovic's motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? That is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Zabzuni. Can now move to item number 20, 1 Aquila Court. Just give me a moment to do a little highlight summary here.
Yeah, thank you.
The purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage and a covered patio in the rear yard. There are 7 variances. We have
Mr. Chair, do you just want to double check that? I don't think that's the purpose. For item number 20?
I'm reading 21.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You scare me.
Okay. Were you quickly trying to prepare your remarks for something totally different?
Almost.
Let me try that again.
Thank you.
The purpose is to construct a new fourplex.
Yes.
There are 3 variances. The Urban Forestry Department initially requested or deferral of this application, and in a standalone memo, they request conditions 1 and 2. We have 2 conditions from Transportation Services, 2 opposition letters. We have 3 registered speakers, and this matter was deferred on May 9th of this year for an opportunity for the applicant agent to consult with Urban Forestry and to make revisions to the proposal.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. So, on the basis of there being people potentially in opposition to this application, 1 in person and 2 virtual, I think a presentation from you to justify your project makes sense. So if you could please give us your name and address and proceed.
My name is Catherine Nodegaard. The address is 1 Aquila Court. I'm representing the owner of the property, Ivan Clavijo, which is present here in the room. And that's it. Let me know when I might start.
Okay. So.
Okay. So first, I would like to address that first point that the hearing was deferred in order to give the opportunity to the applicant to consult with urban foresting staff and make the revisions to the proposal if necessary. So we did so, and we were advised to include the existing trees in the drawings of our proposal since we do not intend to touch them or alter them in any way. We updated our drawings and we hope that everybody has plenty of time to revise them since May 9. As a second point, I would like to address the 3 items in the zoning bylaw notice obtained through zoning review, where it shows that our project is not complying by 3 items. First item states that in the RD zone, a maximum required frontage is 18 meters, and for a detached house is 17 meters. The proposed building length is 21.08 meters. But in item number 2, it states that the maximum building depth is for a detached house is 19 meters, and it states that our proposal is 21.08 meters. which these two items refer to the frontage and the depth of the building with the same measurement of 21.08 meter. We were explained by the examiner that the frontage of the house is taken by Braddock Road Street, since this is a corner lot, and not from the Aquila Court Street. And in this being the case, our frontage of the house is actually 11.89 meters, meaning that we are complying with the bylaws in item number 1. In addition to this is the existing frontage of the house. We are not intended to change it. For item number 2, I'm going to repeat it again, it speaks about the maximum building depth of the detached house being 19 meters and our proposed building being 21.08 meters, which is only exceeding by 2 meters. This is the variance that we are hoping to pass by this committee, which is tightened with the item number 3, which states that the requirement minimum setback of the property must be 9.64 meters, and our proposal is 8.29 meters, which is a variance of only 135 meters. I want to bring to the attention that in properties in Mancroft Crescent Street have a building depth between 19 and 20 meters right now existing, which brings a difference of only 1 meter, 0.08 that we are proposing from something that already exists. I also would like to bring to the attention that our initial proposal had a larger building with a depth of almost 28 meters and a setback of 1.75 meters only. We were not complying in coverage. We were not complying with the garage width. We changed this to reflect our commitment to a responsible development that respects both the regulatory framework and the concerns of the community. We believe that revised proposal strikes a better balance between the aspirations for the property from our part and the need to uphold the standards of the neighborhood. And as a third point, I would like to address the neighbors' concern. They were exposed in the last hearing that it was deferred on May 9. And the applicant went actually knocking door by door to the neighbors and speaking to them to hear their concern. They explained they do not wish a fourplex attracting new renters. So we conduct our own research and we saw that many of the properties right now in the neighborhood are actual renter properties. One example of this being 29 Mercury Road, which actually it has an existing marketplace Facebook ad, which is renting shared bedrooms. Like it had 4 different bedroom shares with mattress in the floors, 2 different renters inside the same room. The second concern being the parking. I want to state that our drawings show two garage for 2 cars, plus 2 other cars can be parked in the driveway. In addition to this, in our own investigation, we didn't have to go too far since address the property in 8 Aquila Court. We have pictures of it. It shows that the driveway was actually packed of cars, and one of the cars had to be parked in the street. And when you go to the same address in Google Maps, you can see the same black Land Rover parked in the street, meaning that this is a constant car that is parking in the street. This is also being the case for 2 Aquila Court and 6 Aquila Court. So to finish, I think my time's up, but.
Yep, it is. Thank you.
I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're Ms. Is it Odegar?
Yes.
And did we get your address? Did staff?
Well, it's the same with the applicant. I'm representing the applicant.
You live in this house?
Sorry?
You live in this house?
No, I do not.
We need your office address.
Oh, my office address? Sure, 55 the Boris Drive, North York.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Ms. Odegar? No? Okay, let's proceed to hear from the people that have an interest in this application. Okay, Ms. Odegar, you can have a seat for now.
Thank you.
We'll firstly call on Karen Christian.
Mr. Chair, there is someone in chambers if you want to do them first, or do you want to do the virtuals first?
Or I see.
Yeah, there's a late
Karen.
addition to the in-persons you might not have on your list there.
Oh, okay. Well, If anybody's here in person,
We'll
please,
do in person. So John,
please
you'd like to
approach the
speak first?
podium.
My name is
Sorry,
John.
sorry, just before you speak, I just want to make it clear. Well, this application purpose is to construct a fourplex. The fact that it is a fourplex is not relevant to our considerations today because fourplexes are allowed in all residential zones throughout the city of Toronto as long as they meet the underlying zoning bylaw requirements. In this case, the fourplex requires variances from 3 zoning provisions, and those are the things we're looking at today. The rear yard setback, the dwelling length, and the dwelling depth. That's what we're deciding on today. So if you could limit your comments to the impacts of any of those 3 on yourself. And to start, identify yourself and your address.
John McKenna, 17 Aquila Court. I wasn't supposed to speak, but I got. But anyhow, a lot of the stuff she said was garbage about cars being parked on the street, this address, that address. Most of the people on our street, which is a very small court, do park in their driveways and abide by the law because there is no parking on the streets after certain hours. These people want to put a fourplex in on a corner of Aquila Court and Mancroft, Mancroft, which is where our buses pick up our kids. Very, very busy intersection, actually little street or whatever you want to call it. And what she's proposing does not fit our street at all. She's talking about Mercury, she talks about other places around the corner from us, 8 bedrooms here, 9 bedrooms here. That has nothing to do with their application of putting a fourplex on our street. This is why we're here. This is why people are going to tell you that we do not want this built on our street. I understand that, Olivia Chow, our mayor, has now proposed, building all these places because of rents. People need places to live. This is not what we propose on our street. It's very hard for us to even get an extra driveway on our street because city only says we're allowed 1. So all of a sudden, these people want to put in a fourplex. She's putting 2 driveways in or 2 garages, 2 parking spots. It's just no room. The lot is very small. I'll also say she doesn't live there, but the lot right now is garbage. It's used as a dump. So I propose that if they want to fix it, that's fine. They want to build a new home on there, that's fine, but not a fourplex.
Okay, well, again, a fourplex is permitted on this lot, subject to the zoning bylaw, and there's 3 variances required for it.
As far as I know, though, the Ontario government never proposed that. The city might have. But when did that proposal come in that you're allowed to put a fourplex on a lot?
I don't know exactly, but recently. Okay, is there anyone else in the chamber that wishes to speak to this application, 1 Aquila Court? No?
Sir, we understand your concern around the fourplex. There are in front of us, though, 3 variances. Do you have any comments on those?
Okay, we're not going to entertain a conversation. The speaker's spoken. Is there anyone? I have another in person, but who obviously isn't in person.
That's correct.
Karen
They're
Christian?
virtual.
Is Karen available online?
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, and just again, if you didn't hear my opening remarks, fourplexes are permitted throughout the city of Toronto in residential zones. That's not the issue we're here to address. We're here to address 3 variances, and we'd most like to hear the impact of any of those variances on yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Not the fact that it's a fourplex.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone, Mr. Chair and the panel, and those who have come to represent the changes to our community at 1 Aquila Court. I have read letters of objection that have been submitted to the committee, and I am directly impacted by this change. My house is situated at 14 Braddock Road. The entrance is the backyard of this current building there. First, I must say the house The yard is in a dilapidated condition. It is filled with lumber, so therefore that detracts from me enjoying the outside of my home. With the new fourplex going up, that is going to cause impediment to me in many ways. Number one, the sunlight that I currently receive from nature, I will no longer have that. That means I will have to turn my light on 24 hours a day. Secondly, I will not have privacy, because with this added structure and balcony or whatever it's going to be, I will no longer be able to have privacy in my home. That then will cause me not only increased electricity bill, but also changes to window coverings. My home is supposed to be a haven. It's supposed to be the place where I can go and find sanctuary after a long day's work. This will no longer happen. My colleague who lives on Aquila talks about the drop-off for kids. It's right at the corner. That's where kids come. The entire neighborhood is going to be changed. Having two driveways and the ability to park two cars on the driveway is not feasible. I don't see it. I am not an engineer, but the property is very small because their backyard parallels my side entrance. Having now a fourplex, I do understand the city and the province or whatever has allowed us to do that. But what about the person who lives there? Who then is going to buy a house when there are impediments there? My property value is going to go down. I am not going to get reimbursed for that. And so many other things that is going to impact me negatively in terms of cost, in terms of health. Because if I cannot get a little bit of sunshine within my home to stimulate vitamin D, my immune system then gets impacted. We're not living in the neighborhood just for living sake. When we purchased our home, it reflected who we are. The neighborhood is a neighborhood not only of buildings, but of people, of quality, maturity. And we would like to maintain it. I understand we have a housing issue, but if we're going to change the neighborhood, it doesn't mean that somebody is going to encroach on my privacy at the cost of their expense. This may be rental units, I don't know. It's going to impact parking in many ways. And so therefore, I have heard, but I am the one, and I want it to be underscored that I object tremendously, because I am going to be negatively impacted in terms of my house value, my privacy, the increased cost, the potential for any number of things. The potential for a fire, because it is now so close to my yard. When anything happens, if there's water damage, who's going to pay for that? That's going to come out of my pocket. I do understand the housing issue, but we have to keep in mind that everyone needs to live and be protected and have their rights protected. I shouldn't have to have somebody encroach on my rights at the benefit of theirs. Where is the fairness in that?
Okay, we don't answer questions, ma'am. Are you finished, or?
I am finished, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Ms. Christian? None? Okay, let's move on to Justin Fiorini.
Mr. Chair, Justin is not present on the call at this time. We did reach out to him with no response.
And Sonia Anderson.
Present.
Ms. Anderson.
And Mr. Chair, it should be noted that Sonia wasn't mic checked as they joined the call late. Sonia, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, go ahead. We submitted a letter of objection in May, and we continue to object to the fourplex at 1 Quilla Court. We believe it is essential to keep the character of our street by honoring the zoning bylaw. We also have support from our city councillor, Vincent Casanti, who has also submitted 2 letters of objection. Owner continued request of variance is to his sole benefit. As longtime residents of Aquila Court, what we will see is overcrowding, reduced privacy, and a property that does not conform to the character of our street. What we will see is an oversized apartment building. This is not the answer to more housing in our city. If approved, it will be precedent for future fourplexes. I also wanted to bring it to your attention of the owner of this property, Ivan. He visited quite a few of our houses in May, knocking on our front doors on Aquila Court, asking for signatures of support for the fourplex, and also letting us know that there will be work done in the early morning and late hours. And I don't think he received any signatures from any of us for that. That's all I have to say today.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Odegaard, I think we can, oh, is there anyone else?
That's everybody so far on our list. With that being said, we did, the last speaker did note that there was a letter from the counselor. We did receive one late yesterday or early this morning, no, late yesterday. And so so members, you didn't receive it yet, but we can put up on the screen. We have it up on the screen for you here now, though.
Okay, sure, let's see it.
Yeah, it's probably, chances are good it's the same, but a different date, but, and then we have one from July 31st now, too. Yeah, we can enlarge it a bit, zoom in a bit, and make it a little more legible, for sure.
Adam, can I ask you to read it? Even enlarged, it's hard to see.
I am writing this letter in opposition of the above-mentioned application at 1 Aquila Court. I've previously submitted a letter of opposition and remain committed to supporting the community members who are against this application. This community is comprised of single-family homes. The consistent feedback from residents indicates that this development does not align with the community's characteristics. Having visited the location, the proposed development would have impacts on the neighboring properties and landscape in terms of setback, massing, and parking. As such, I recommend the committee refuse the application for minor variances at 1 Aquila Court. Vincent Crisanti.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No more speakers?
That is correct. No other speakers we have on the list this time.
Okay, so Ms. Odegaard, could you come back up to the podium and present your rebuttal to what you've just heard?
Yes, of course. First of all, like one of the items that the second person that speaks, I don't recall her name, she was talking about fire. Like, since I work in the business, we are like, again, since the frontage of the property is taken for Brock Power Street, like we have like a separation of over 2 meters, of actually 374 meters. That is actually the current separation to the next property that she is concerned with, which is way like past of what is required for fire separation. So there's that. Like for sunlight, there are many properties in this neighborhood. They are 2 stories. This is not a building to start with. If you can see in the drawings, this is a 2-story property only, and one of the units is going to be located in the basement. Just by architectural design, one of the floors is going to be split into 2 units. That's why it's a 4-plet. It's not because it's a building to like take sunlight from other neighbors. We could actually make the same house as a single family, and will be still the case of a second 2-story property. So we're not concerned about taking sunlight off a neighbor, especially only for a variance of 1.08 meters. They were asking for like the setback. That's not, my point of view, that's not going to take sunlight from the neighbor. Again, so she also speaks about, She also speaks about, like the other person speaks about signatures, for sure. We actually did got some signatures in favor of this property, but we decided not to show it or submit it because we didn't want it to create more rivalry between the neighbors. So to avoid more issues, we actually decided not to submit it. And there's that. So for like the parking issue, we addressed it, that we are showing inside of the property a garage that can contain 2 cars, and in our drive-in can easily go 2 other cars, which is kind of like ironic that the other neighbors complaining they are not abiding, but they were saying and actually parking in the street. So what we're asking is a little bit of fairness, and that's it for now.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Odegar?
Excuse me. Humidity's taking my voice away. Just wanted to note, though, that you're not seeking any variances for height or setback.
Not at all. We are complying with the bylaws in heights, coverage, and actually even the width of the garage that we were not before.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, just before we go into committee for discussion and decision, it has been pointed out to me that City Council in May 2023 allowed fourplexes on all residential zones throughout the city of Toronto, subject to meeting the zoning bylaw requirements. So I said initially, at issue is the extent of the variances that you're requesting to build the fourplex as opposed to it being a fourplex. So I just wanted to preamble that. So we'll move into committee now. Is there anything else that anybody wishes to say before we make a decision? No? Then let's make a decision.
So with that, I'd like to move a motion to approve. I believe the application meets the 4 tests, subject to the conditions from Forestry and Transportation Services.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion? None? Oh,
I'll go second that.
okay. That motion has been seconded. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you.
That was quite a compliment. I was called a socialist for the first time.
A little lefter than you thought you were.
I'm lefter than I thought I was.
We have one more item.
Do I want to go out and blow away? No, definitely not.
Last but not least, item 21, 26 Hearn Hill. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage and a covered patio in the rear yard. I don't believe we have any registered speakers other than the agent.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Just a moment. I'm just going to summarize your project here a little bit. There are 7 variances. Urban Forestry requests refusal, or in the alternative, their conditions 1 and 2. We have a community planning condition, and this matter was deferred on June the 6th to correctly identify the variances, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So, my view is pretty straightforward. Anybody require a presentation? No? Okay, if you're okay, we'll ask you any questions if we have any in lieu of a presentation from you.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good, okay. So panel, questions, observations, comments, concerns? None? Or you just give me the list of reasons? You don't have any of those things. Is that right? Okay, good. All right then. And I think we're in a position to go into committee for a decision.
And you're okay with the community planning?
Yeah, that's correct. We're okay with community planning's conditions.
Okay.
And urban forestry 1 and 2?
Yep.
Private
That
public
as well.
trees? Yep.
Yeah.
No, no transportation.
No transportation that I have. You had something May 29th? I don't have transportation down there.
Oh, that might be previous material.
Under previous material?
Question. Is the transportation services condition still
Yeah,
relevant?
Madam Deputy Secretary, what would the status of that be?
Hasn't been addressed.
Conditions in May, none today.
So the application was deferred to correctly identify the variances, so their comments would still be applicable in this case.
Oh. So are you aware of what transportation said about this in May, and are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm aware, and we're okay with the conditions.
Okay.
Okay, so
With that, I'll move a motion. I believe the application meets the 4 tests, subject to the conditions in the planning memo, transportation services, and forestry.
is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion?
Second the motion.
Mr. Ross, thank you. All in favor? That's approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nonoa.
You can thank the socialists up here.
Yeah. The commie.
Oh, yeah, the socialist is going to make a motion to adjourn at, my goodness, it's before 2 o'clock.
152, all in favor?
Oh.
That is carried. We are adjourned at 152. Minutes before Summer Macintosh checks into the pool. For anyone that's interested. Are you going to make it home to watch? You're darn right. Too big of a
Oh, the girls?
Women, not girls.
Boys and girls. That's not part of it.
Who is
They're doing good.
Who is the socialist? Are we talking about?
For application to revoke it, because they didn't like their decision, they called us a bunch of socialists.
Well, I mean, I don't like your decision either. We're going to trust. We don't like the rule.
They're permitted.
Huh?
Fourplex is permitted.
Yeah,
That's
so
not the forest, it's just the
I tried to point out, you can only argue it as unbearable.
That's why I made the comment. You're not looking for a height variance, you're not looking
Yeah, I
for
know.
setback, because it all complies.
Well, that's why I tried to back on. So tell me what variance
They just don't like the fourplex because they see it as an apartment.
Right.
They don't want an apartment building beside. Too bad. We'll put it everywhere.
The only way you can argue against it is on the variances. You know that people want to do that.
No.
I tried to give him a second chance. I said, what variances don't you like?
Like I said, they don't like it. That's too bad.
Go talk to city council. They want to put it in.
Life keeps changing, we gotta change with it. Are you going to be in for a bumpy road, boys and girls? Very good. Don't worry, I'll be so permitted up there too. Why not? Yeah.